Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about, in my opinion, one of the most profitable, safest and stressless ways to be in the crypto space, if done right. This is investing into a good ICO. It is the most profitable because if properly and substantially researched, an ICO could more than double your investment amount. But you have to go through a lot of information to get to the conclusion that a certain ICO has that potential. Later in the video, I'll give you an example of such an ICO that I have already invested in. It is safer because the price of the tokens doesn't change until they're featured on some of the exchanges. This doesn't allow the price to be manipulated and gives you the opportunity of an equal start with all the other investors. It is much stressless, mainly because after you bought it, you don't have any control until the ICO is over and the distributed tokens are featured on some of the exchanges. This removes the necessity of checking the market constantly, which leaves you to do other much more meaningful things. For example, if you wanted to get involved into Bitcoin right now, you can easily do it, but you would be first of all exposed to the high volatility in the market, and which most people are not really comfortable with. The second thing is that you would probably be presented with the opportunity to sell and buy right now, which when times are rough and the market volatility just spikes through the roof, you just might make the mistake of selling low and buying high. The third issue with the Bitcoin is that you might experience anxiety issues, especially if you have invested much more than you're willing to lose, and you might just get constantly to check out the prices and be nervous about it. And the last thing is that you need really, if you want the short to medium results to be good, you need to invest much more into Bitcoin than compared to an investment into ICO, especially during the first days of a good ICO. The fourth is that you have to invest more if you want to check higher returns with Bitcoin. While with another ICO, yes, there might be significant risk, but your lesser investment can still get you very high returns. I want to say that I do understand that Bitcoin is the safest investment at the moment in the crypto space, but I also want to say that if Bitcoin doubles in price, then most of the other cryptocurrencies outside of the top 20, let's check them out right here, most probably they will multiply their price value by between 2 to 10 times, and this is based from the behavior in the past month. So I want to explain what I did at the end of 11th of January when the Bitcoin prices plummeted from $15,000 to less than $10,000, and I noticed that the prices might not recover soon, or even worse, they can get even lower. First of all, I realized two things. The first one is that I had too much money at stake in the cryptocurrencies, more than I felt comfortable with, something like 50% of all of my savings. Second, I had bought way too much cryptocurrencies in way too many different exchanges, and that led to so much time wasted on checking their prices and deciding if I need to invest even more or I should just sell them. I didn't really feel comfortable in the situation I was, and I understood that this can get out of my control for a very short time. But also I didn't really feel leaving the crypto space yet, because I did manage to earn a lot from it, and I didn't want missing the next bull run, so I decided the following. I would sell all of my crypto portfolio, including the Bitcoin, and invest 5 to 15% of that money into 1 to 3 ICOs that meets my criteria of. The ICO should launch soon, so if there is another bull run, it will be affected by the uptrend. It is something closely linked to the crypto space, so that it would follow the direction of the prices of the other cryptocurrencies. It's something that I understand, and I can see profit and future. By this I mean that it is something that I can visualize the product, and I understand that they are providing some benefits to society. the money I have invested have the chance to be multiplied between 2 to 10 times in the short to medium perspective. I had my eye on such an ICO since the start of December, and after the fall of the Bitcoin prices recently, I decided to invest about 10% of my portfolio, which turned out to be around $6,000. This ICO is Envion. As you can see, this is their website, and I'm gonna briefly explain the reasons why I decided to invest in it. So I will start with the fundraising. The idea of the ICO is to create highly profitable, cost-efficient, global crypto mining infrastructure in shipping containers. Those containers will be delivered directly to the energy source to minimize cost and will be of the type to plug and play, which will allow very easy allocation so the company is protected from regulations from single governments. And this is exactly the example that I wanted to give. Let's say they have units in China, and China at one point states that it won't subsidize mining companies anymore, and that anyone who is mining should pay the same price for electricity as the rest of the people. If at that point Envion doesn't see that as a profitable option, they can easily move their units to another country where mining will be much more profitable due to the energy prices. So after knowing this, I understood that if Bitcoin rebounds from the current low levels and rises to even new highs, let's say about the prices of 15,000, 17,000 or 20,000, Envion tokens will be worth quite much more. And the Bitcoin price, if the Bitcoin price continues to fall, then it doesn't really matter because the rest of the cryptocurrency market would follow it. Now guys, I'm gonna present you with a list of the pros and cons investing into the Envion ICO. I'm going to start with the pros here, and here they are. The white paper, for my surprise, is quite long, but it contains almost all the information you would want to know, and it is easy to understand. The team overall is good and has significant experience behind it. They're Swiss, based in Berlin, so it's less likely that they are a scam company. If you go through the LinkedIn of all of the team members, you will find significant experience and background. However, I must admit that a team of 10 people is not really enough to pull this alone. Some people see it as an issue that they don't have a hardware expert in the main team, but I personally don't think that this is necessary. The only thing that bothers me is that they don't have a person specialized in logistics or energy plans, as this will be their main difficulty. The social media of the ICO is quite active. They have around 10,000 followers on their Twitter and 20,000 on Telegram, on which they regularly post videos and explanations. They have a working product dating back in November, and if you go to their website, you can check it out. Now, another thing is that they have signed over 100 letter of intents, including with Enel, which is a Fortune 100 company, and if that letter of intent becomes a partnership, then the 160% return of investments becomes much more realistic. They are in a business that is currently booming and very often out of stock. You can check out Genesis Mining and Hashflare and you'll understand what I'm talking about here. Also, other ICOs that are in this type of business like Terra Miner and Hydro Miner are preparing to launch a second ICO. Another very important thing, at least to me, is that they have the option to buy tokens with a credit card. Their goal is achievable compared to other ICOs and tokens that are worth at the moment at least 10 times more. Unlike the contracts like Genesis Mining, the Envion token can be cashed out immediately. They will be listed on HitBTC exchange after the ICO finishes. Now, let's talk a little bit about the cons that I also found on their white paper. The first one is the numbers of mining equipment that they need. Also, you can refer to pages of 58 to 60 on their white paper. They have refused to comment on this topic because they don't want to disclose partnerships and supply sources. But if they have contracts with a major supplier like Envidia or Bitmain or some of the Russian ICO manufacturers, this might not be an issue for them. The second thing is the absence of more specific information about the roadmap and the delivering dates of the containers. They don't provide any time interval on when exactly will they start mass production this year of their mining containers. Also, how many mining containers will they produce by the end of this year, and any other information regarding this topic, which in my opinion is quite crucial for the success of the ICO. The last thing that I wanted to discuss in regards to the coin is that their statement of extremely high return of investment at around 160%, which seems a bit optimistic, but if we believe the numbers that they have provided in the white paper, it seems achievable. Also, the 160 return of investment was based when the price of Ethereum was $600 and the price of Bitcoin was around $10,000. I also did some research and read a lot of comments and opinions and it seems that they will be using SRock H110 Pro BTC motherboards connected with 13 what it looks like Radeon Sapphire RX 460 or 560 GPUs, which if you underclock it can consume about 6 watts each. Now, it's very important why I say it seems, because they have not disclosed the information of what GPUs they will be using. However, this is what I found out. You can check the website where they're stating the world's most cost-efficient self-expanding mining infrastructure, and they have given us a picture here to check it out. And here you can clearly see the GPUs. I have compared those GPUs with the available graphic cards at the moment at the market, and the only ones that fit the descriptions, basically the only GPUs that look alike are the Sapphire RX 560 or 460. However, this is just a guess. I'm almost confident that they'll be using those graphic cards, but still it's not confirmed by them. And all of this adds to the numbers that they have provided of 860 watts per system. I'm not really sure where they will find that quantity of video cards or GPUs, but I guess where there is a demand, there is always a way to do it. After all of this, I have made some simple predictions and conclusions about the price of the token after the ICO is completed. In the short term, the price depends very much on the Bitcoin value. If we see another downtrend in the Bitcoin before the Envion tokens can be exchanged, then I think that there is a high chance that they will be sold for less than the original price of $1. On the other hand, if the Bitcoin reaches 15,000 or even more before the Envion hits the BitHit exchange, then the tokens will be worth much more. In the long run, the Envion token price will be affected by many factors, like the following. The most important will be again Bitcoin. As long as it stays positive and people see reason to hold it and value it, then the Envion tokens will be appreciated as well. The rate at which they manufacture the mining containers, the frequency, the delays, and the amount of their payments, and the contracts with major companies and future announcements like every other ICO. Before I bought the tokens, I also asked and answered myself the question, is it a scam? Is it too good to be true? I think it is highly unlikely that they will run away with the money after the ICO finishes. But if you want to be super sure about it, just buy the tokens with your credit cards. And if after the first few months they don't seem to provide the services that they have promised you, you can go and legally charge back your money. If you think that the return of investments of 161% is too high, well, if you go through the white paper, the numbers are actually adding up. However, I'm also a bit skeptic about it. Another issue is that when exactly the return of investment will be achieved. Many people believe that it will not be during the first 4 months, and I believe that it might take them between 6 to 1 year in order for this number to be achieved. In my perspective, I believe that they will achieve the 160% between 6 to 12 months, but we don't really know what will be the price of the tokens at that time. And one might argue that actually the 160% return of investment is not really a scam, but rather a misinformation. Another question is, why didn't the ICO reach its capacity of 150 million if it's that good? I mainly think that this is because of the bearish market that we were from the start of this year. I also, because not many people talked about it, none of the major YouTubers did a video about the ICO, which I associate with the absence of an affiliate program, and the bonus tokens are a bit harder to get. To hold or to sell the tokens after the ICO completes, it very much depends on the initial price of the tokens that will be offered in the exchange and the overall market as a whole. If the value of the token is above 3 times its initial starting price, most probably I will sell 13% of my tokens so I can return my investment and hold the rest. If the value drops, let's say to 50, 60% or even 30%, then most probably I will just hold them and even consider adding more funds to it. In the end, I came to the following conclusions. It is much smarter to hold Envion tokens than to invest in Bitcoin, because if you believe in Bitcoin and you believe in other mineable cryptocurrencies, then you don't have a reason to doubt the success of Envion. If we think about it from percentage perspective, the Envion tokens most probably will outrun the Bitcoin. And if I want a better deal than Gemini and Hashflare mining, and I'm willing to take a small risk, then this is the best investment opportunity that I have came across. I hope that you learned something new from this video. If you enjoyed it, just press the like button and subscribe, as I will be posting more updates soon. Bye everyone.